Welcome to another trade recap video. I'm gonna go over the two trades that I ended up taking Friday the 10th of July. Two losses, one in London, one in New York. Two good losses, ended up losing $400 on my account. Let's dive in. First off, proof of equity, so still on the same account that I was trading all last trade recaps and currently at $25,300, still $300 above break even, but only $500 left in trailing drawdown. I risk $200 per trade, around $200. So two more losses in the bag. Took 4 losses in a row this week, which is quite unusual, but of course not statistically impossible. So it would be even more statistically rare to take 6, 7 losses in a row, but not impossible. As I mentioned a couple trade recaps before, let's see how it goes. So let's dive into the trades that I took. First trade was Friday morning, right before London. We could see that Nasdaq took out Asia low. ES did the same around here, of course. ES still had draws lower, but Nasdaq not really, not in terms of gaps. The first draw was the next previous day low. So at that point, we also tapped into this fresh 15-minute fair value gap. So here I'm just looking to continue lower unless we inverse this. What is marked out here is a 1-hour gap that is going to become active once the 2 a.m. candle closes and we're at London Open. Then we get a new fresh 1-hour gap. So at this point I was considering potentially to continue lower from that 15-minute gap, but we didn't get any entries yet. Price continues to climb, and then after 3, this gap of course becomes mitigated, so becomes less important, and we create this 1-hour UFEG right here. So for me personally, at this point, pretty textbook to take along. We swept Asia low, we inverse this singular gap on the 3 minutes. Of course, on the other time frames, we inverse singular gaps as well, but this will be my time frame of entry. Then we get a delivery from this 3-minute fair value gap, which is also a BPR, and we get a break of structure above the previous candle. I got in pretty much right at the close of the candle, since it closed narrow to the previous one. Got in for a 22.5 stop loss, which gave me a 1.5 R until the draw, which is always my risk to reward that I'm aiming for, 1.5. So pretty textbook trade, had to take it. No obstructing gaps. Not on the, there was one on the 5-minute, of course, but this was my break-even point, or my projected break-even point, which is perfectly fine. And then on the 3, the 2, and the 1, we were good to go. So entered right there and pretty much got stopped out quite immediately. Good trade. I would take it any day of the week. Nothing really that I can say about it. Price was looking good. We took out Asia low, so we swept. We didn't sweep lower time frame, that will make it more A+, but we created bullish structure and we got a nice fair value gap continuation. Price just started chopping pretty much right after. Not a lot you can do about that. That's just how it is sometimes. I've seen many trades like this play out. It's a pretty textbook trade. So happy with the entry. So second trade was during New York. I am marking out the draws for longs here, since buys will be what we're going to focus on. So we're at nearest 15-minute high. This wick was created, if I'm not mistaken, by unexpected news. We had London high still available, and we had a 1-hour unmitigated fair value gap higher as well. Right at the open, price surges upwards, takes out all those draws. And then at 9:45, we set opening range low and opening range high. Opening range low and high, two of my favorite draws to take trades towards. And I was anticipating either for this gap to be inversed and then take longs, or to get a break of structure to the downside and potentially look for shorts. So when this gap got inversed, I wanted to get in, but again, since I'm trading M and Q, and this has happened many times before, went to M and Q and price already shot up, I would enter a position like this, stop loss beneath the previous candle, which is also this inverse gap that is protected, and then again go for a 1.5 hour. This is more of an intuition type of position. It is not a fair value gap continuation, but these draws, opening range low and opening range high, just as 6 AM low and 6 AM high, I'm allowing myself to take intuition trades towards. An intuition trade is just meaning an inversion or a tap into a fair value gap or a nice clean displacement candle, since the likelihood of those draws getting taken out fairly quickly is very high. Price immediately shot up and I didn't get a chance to re-enter at break-even price. That was unfortunate, and that was maybe why I entered the 6 AM high position, which I'm going to show you right now. So at 10 AM we create 6 AM high. Price retraces into a 5-minute fair value gap, this one right here. So we get a delivery from that 5-minute gap. Then right at 10 AM price surges upwards. We inverse this gap, but that inversion fails. And then we inverse this newly created gap, although small. So at this point, price is showing me that it wants to go up. I entered on that inversion and I waited for a pullback to get at least a 1-to-1. So put my stops beneath this candle low, and that gave me right a 1-to-1, and then I was planning again to hold until 1.5 hour. Price shot up. At this point I was like, okay, for sure it's gonna hit 6 AM, but then it started trolling again, consolidating again and chopping just like previous trades. I could argue that I could stay out of this trade because the consolidation here, like if we see this chop afterwards, it looks like it's gonna chop already. But if I'm going back to here, I still think it's a good trade considering the momentum that we had upwards, the 5-minute delivery, the failed inversion to the downside, and then a straight inversion back up, and the likelihood of 6 AM high getting hit. If I would have been in this trade, this opening range high intuition trade, then I would have probably faded this one, if I'm going to be very honest with myself. But still, it's a good trade. The momentum was there. Price just decided to chop on this day. That's okay. So regardless of the losses, still happy with the trades that I took. 4 losses in a row now, which is rather rare, but good trades, so can't really blame myself. I avoided another loss on Friday morning during the chop, so that's good. And the losses prior that I took over the last few weeks, which were 2, I think, in last month, those were invalid losses. So yeah, it comes down to being as consistent as possible with taking valid good trades and then just letting probabilities play out. Either way, happy moving forward and happy with the way I've been performing lately. Success or winning trades are inevitable if I keep on taking positions like this and keep on managing my positions in the same consistent way. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll be very happy to help you. Other than that, wish you the best day of your life so far. What that means is tomorrow is gonna be even better. Goodbye for now.